Have you ever just looked at a huge mess of facts and figures and wondered, how does that become something we can actually use? Well, that magic trick is called data processing. And today, we're going to look at the two main ways it gets done, by us humans or by the machines we've built. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, it really all boils down to this one big question. I mean, we're swimming in raw data every single day. Numbers, names, you name it. But how do you turn all that raw stuff into, actual useful information? That's the whole point, right? That's the problem we're solving here.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down what data processing even is. Then, we'll look at the old school, human touch method. After that, the modern machine way. We'll put them head to head. And finally, we'll figure out how you make the right choice between the two.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. First things first, what are we actually talking about when we say data processing?
Okay, so at its core, it's pretty simple. It's basically a translation process. You're taking all that raw, messy data and turning it into something clean, something that makes sense. I like to think of it like cooking. You're taking raw ingredients, flour, eggs, sugar, and turning them into a delicious cake. Same idea.
And just like in cooking, you've got two main ways to get the job done. There's the manual path, that's where it's all about human effort, and then there's the automatic path, which, as you can guess, is powered by computers and software. So first up, let's talk about that human touch. Let's dive into manual processing. So what does this look like? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's performed by humans with basically no automated tools. And what does that mean? It's going to be slow, right? And let's be honest, we're human. We make mistakes. It's just more prone to error. One little typo can throw everything off. A classic example, just picture an old school accountant, maybe 100 years ago, sitting at a desk with a huge physical ledger book. They're handwriting every single entry, calculating every total by hand. That is manual processing in its purest form. Okay, now let's completely switch gears and talk about the machine way. This is where everything gets supercharged by technology.
And the difference here is, well, it's night and day. This is all done by computers. Once you set it up, it needs very little human help. The result? It's way, way faster. And it's a whole lot more accurate because, computers don't get bored or need a coffee break.
And you see this stuff everywhere. Think about the barcode scanner at the supermarket. That beep is automatic processing in action. It's instantly grabbing the product info, the price, and even telling the back room they're one item lower in stock. Or think about a big company's payroll system. Can you imagine doing that by hand for thousands of people? No way.
All right, so we've met our two contenders. In this corner, we have the human touch, and in the other, the machine way. So now it's time to put them head to head and really see how they compare.
Let's just look at the stats. The primary driver, for manual, it's human effort. For automatic, it's computers. Okay? Speed. Manual is slower, automatic is faster. No surprise there. Accuracy? Manual is prone to errors. Automatic is way more accurate. And human input? Super high for manual and very little needed for automatic. So you can really see the trade-off, right? It's all about control versus pure, raw efficiency. Okay, so that brings us to the big question. How do you choose? Which path do you take?
Well, it really just comes down to this simple idea. The choice totally depends on your need for two things, speed and accuracy.
And that's the real key here. It's not about one being better than the other. It's about matching the method to the task at hand. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to hang a picture frame, right? Same thing. If you've got a small, one-off project, manual might be totally fine. But for something massive and repetitive, yeah, automation is your only real option. So, all of this leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on. As these automated systems get smarter and more powerful, what happens to the human touch? I mean, is there still a place for our judgment, our creativity, in a world where machines can do so much of the heavy lifting? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.